Hey guys, welcome back to this lecture, EC2 Service Discovery Implementation. In this lecture, we will configure service discovery mechanism for EC2 in our Prometheus instance and we'll see how does it works. Okay, so in last two lectures, we have learned about the service discovery and we have seen different configurations that are available to us, and EC2 SD config was one of them. Now why we have taken this one for demonstration? Because till now our entire setup is in AWS, so we can utilize the EC2 SD config for this demonstration. Okay, so let us quickly jump onto the demo now. So currently I'm in my EC2 machine where all the containers are running. So let me quickly show you that. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to update the Prometheus configuration so as to implement the service discovery for EC2 instance. So let us quickly go to our Prometheus configuration file which we have for our Prometheus container. So it is in varlib varlib docker volumes Prometheus tag config. So this was the path of our contain path of our container mounted on the local host, right? And then we have prometheus.yml file. Okay, now for EC2 SD config, let me bring the configuration here which we can use to implement the same. So I'll attach this configuration in the resource section as well, so you can find it there and you can utilize this. Okay, so this is the configuration for EC2 SD config. Okay, let me just rename the job name because node we have already used, I remember. So let us make it like EC2-SD, which represents our EC2 service discovery. Okay, now as you can see, this is the main section, EC2 SD configs for service discovery for EC2. In the region field, you need to give the region in which your EC2 servers are running. So let us quickly check that. So we are currently running our workload in North Virginia, and let us see the version region name US East 1. Okay, US East 1. Do not forget to format it in the right way, so there should be a space between the name and the key and the value. Okay, now we have role ARN. So guys, there are different ways to authenticate your Prometheus with the AWS services, right? Either you can use the secret credential associated with the IAM user, or you can use any role, IAM role, which is already there. Now why do I need role or why not credential? So role is more secure than credentials because in case of IAM user credential, you'll have to hardcode the secret keys, right? But in case of your role ARN, you can just append the role ARN here and nobody can have the access to this role because you are not sharing any other information about, except the role ARN, right? So let us quickly bring the role ARN here. Now, which role it is? So this particular Prometheus container which is running, so we are saying this Prometheus container should use the role which is attached to my EC2 instance in which this Prometheus container is running. Okay, so now how the Prometheus container will know or how it would be able to resolve this role, because our Prometheus container and say this service discovery uses the AWS SDK to check the or to get the information about this. Okay, so from the AWS SDK it will be able to identify the role that is attached to our server, and then it will check for the permission that role is having. Okay, and based on the permission that it has, it will take the next steps. So let us first give the role ARN here. So in the EC2 instance you can find the IAM role attached to it here. Now I have opened it here so as to get the role ARN. Let me copy it. Now I will paste it here. Now I need to give the port number. So it's the port number on which metrics are exposed for EC2 instance. So this is 9100. Now in the filters, now as we discussed earlier, with the filters we can filter down the servers that you want to monitor. Now suppose if we are not giving the filter, so it will try to uh, try to scrap the each and every EC2 instance that you have. So if you want to scrap only the selected servers, so there are different ways to do this, and the one way to do this is filter based upon the tags attached to your EC2 instance, right? So that's the same thing which we'll be using here. We will use the tag here. So in the name field I'll give tag and then the tag name which I have. Okay, so let's say I'll use this tag in my EC2 machine, and value I'll be using as true. These are just tag name and values, okay, and we will use it to identify our servers which need to be scrapped. Okay, now I've given the filters, I've given the port, role, AR, and region. Okay, now I will save it. Now, as we have given the role in the configuration, now it's time to check whether that role is having the appropriate permission to check the EC2 instances or not, right? So this role should have the permission to describe each and every EC2 instance in our account, and also the availability zones, to list down the availability zones. So let us do one thing. In this role, we will create a inline policy for our EC2 service. I'll give the list permissions here, okay, and in the resources, let's select all resources. You can further drill down it using the describe EC2 instances and describe availability zone. So just to reduce our time, I'm just selecting each and everything here in the list permissions only. So it can only list down the resources, not it cannot read or it cannot perform any other operation. Okay, so I'll give it EC2 policy name here. Okay, now we have given the appropriate permission to this particular role so that it can read the other resources, EC2 resources. Now it's time. Now because my Prometheus will be using this role to access this role to get the permissions, right? Once my container will see, okay, SD configuration is there, it will read the IAM role URL. So it will go to this role, okay, using this role itself, and it will see what all permissions it has. So that means we need to have a trust relationship for this particular role, for this role itself, right? So it is like currently in this server, because what I'm doing, I'm using the same server to install and to discover the node export or discover the EC2 instance. Okay, I'm not using any other server. If you are having any other server, then you'll have to create a trust relationship policy for that this role in your server. Okay, so now I need to add a role ARN here in the trust relationship policy so that it can assume it and it can use the permission associated with this role. Okay, so this is my IAM role, and this is the STS assume role action that I'm allowing him. I'll update the policy here. Okay, so my role is updated now. I have the STS assume permissions, I have the EC2 permissions now. So now it's time we restart the container. And one more thing, guys, if you remember from this configuration, we have given the tags, right? EC2 SD config and true value. So let me just quickly show you again. What we have done, we are filtering based upon the tags. So what that means, the EC2 instances which will be having these tags associated with it, those will only be the part of the scraping. Okay, so only to these servers this Prometheus server will reach out to scrap the endpoint. So I need to attach these tags to my EC2 instance. Okay, so now so as I'm using the same instance to auto discover, what I will do, I'll create a tag here like this I've created earlier, EC2 SD config and true. Okay, so now that we have done this as well, now we can start the container. Let's see what we are getting. So I'll restart this Prometheus container. Okay, let us refresh the Prometheus console. Let us go to the configuration to see whether a configuration is reflecting here or not. Okay, so here is my configuration, so it is reflecting here. Now it's time to check the targets. Okay, target is not coming up here yet, so let me revise the configuration and let's see if we have missed anything. Okay, US East 1, this is the role ARN port number. Okay guys, so here one thing we need to do is the security group. Okay, so I am saying, because my Prometheus container is running in this instance, okay, and that container is want to connect to this server on 9100 port to auto discover the scrap point, right? So I will have to allow this security group. So it is usually called as the self route as well. So what you'll do here, you will create the security rule for 9100 port from its own security group. So that will enable the Prometheus container to scrap the 9100 port. Okay, so we have done this as well. Now let us wait for a few minutes and let's see if it is reflecting here now. Okay, let us wait and let me open the logs here in the parallel. Let's see if we are getting any error or anything. Okay, till now there are no errors. Let us follow the log so that we can see the live logs for this container. I'm sorry, just give me a second. Okay, try to refresh it. Okay guys, so it's EC2 SD config is up now here. Okay, you can see one container, one instance has been auto identified by our configuration. So I have not hard coded this, so it came up as part of this EC2 SD configurations. Okay, so now if you are bringing up any new server, so you just need to do one thing. You need to have node exporter running in your server, okay, which will be exposing your Prometheus metric inside the on a HTTP endpoint or 9100 port. Okay, and you just need to enable two things. One is the tag and one is the security rule for your Prometheus instance to allow the 9100 port access. Okay, so this was, now you'll say, yeah, even though I've implemented the EC2 service SD service discovery configuration, but still I need to attach the tags and the security rule. So guys, if we talk about the systems where you are having the auto scaling, let's say, okay, where your server is part of any cluster or anything like ECS cluster or Kubernetes cluster, so what usually happens in those cases, like you use the custom AMI, right, to have your instance up as soon as any outage happens, right? So in that case, what you can do, so you'll have an EC2 instance, you'll install the node exporter inside it, and you will take the AMI after that. Okay, so you will use the updated AMI which will be having the node exporter already installed it in it. Okay, as soon as your new server comes up with that AMI, so your node exporter starts along with it and it starts exposing the metrics on 9100 port. Now comes about the security rules and tags. Now guys, so in such setups where you have auto scaling and where you have the clusters thing, so a common security group is usually used for all the instances that are coming part of the template, right? So you will just have to update the tags and security rules once at the start of the service discovery configuration, and after that it will come as part of the default security group and tags. So this will be like every time your instance will come up, it will be automatically discovered by your Prometheus server and it will start monitoring for it. So now let us quickly visualize the data for this particular endpoint. So let's say node CPU metric I'll use, and we'll see whether the data is coming from the job EC2 SD config. Okay, okay, this is the actual metric. Okay, so you can see it here. Okay, so the job name is EC2 SD config. So this particular series is coming out of this job. So we can see, okay, data is coming and the server is under monitoring now. So guys, this was all about this lecture. In the upcoming lectures and in the use cases, we will discover and we will implement other discoveries as well. So stay tuned and I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.